This one is real dreamy. Today we're checking out my new Wilde Supertramp. Cue the music. Howdy. In this video, we're riding my new Wilde Supertramp. It was a fun ride too, so hang out. We're gonna talk first impressions and all of that, but really quick, what is the Supertramp? This is Wilde's all-terrain bike and bikepacking platform. It gives you everything that you'd want from a bike like that, from big tire clearance, it's all steel, all the routing and mounts that you'd want, but then also a bit of off-road flavor, like high trail, extra standover, even UDH compatibility. So we're gonna get into it all. Let's start with the components of the build, and then we'll get this thing on the road. When it comes to components, it's important to me to not let comfort suffer for the sake of performance, or to not let performance suffer just for style, if that makes sense. And I think I found the perfect balance with everything here, but maybe a slight emphasis on style. This Gilbert 2 saddle acted like a catalyst for this build. I actually always wanted one of these, and I found this in my neighborhood used, which is a crazy rare find around here. The brass rivets inspired me to add more brass accents, like in the extractor caps on these crank arms, and maybe in the headset spacers, thanks to Blue Lug. A dropper post was a non-negotiable for this bike, and this PNW dropper also set the tone for the rest of the build. I originally did not want to do another all-silver build, but this stuff just looked so good on this frame, it was an easy switch. But as I mentioned, it's not always just about style. These Growtac Equal brakes are some of the best brakes I've ever tried. This new SRAM T-type stuff should be interesting too. This is the mechanical version. I'm still not sold on electronics. And as usual, I obsessed over little things like how much sweep my bars have. I can talk components all day, but let's keep it moving and save more for the first impressions talk. I love making a day out of building a bike. I could have pieced it together slowly as parts arrive, but I think this is better. What do you prefer when you got a bike project? All at once or over time? We made an entirely separate build video this time, so if you want to see that, check it out on our channel. I'll link it in this video's description as well. You can always count on New Bike Day to make you feel like a kid again. I had the biggest grin on my face and I was jumping like a lake trout out here. Oh my God. We've had a few new bike days on the channel this year, but this bike was not brought to the channel just for review purposes. This was not sent to us by Wilde. I bought this bike through my local shop. I actually sold 2 bikes to fund it, and one was my beloved All-City Gorilla Monsoon. I've been thinking a lot lately about why do I put myself through the whole custom bike process. This is the 3rd time I do it. My 2 All-Cities were also custom, but nowhere near dream build level like I did with this bike. I've been working on this bike for a year now because it took me so long to afford everything. I've been riding my whole life, but I'm also a late bloomer to the technical side of bikes. But at the same time, I've always been a tinkerer, and I've gone down the same road with guitars and drums. I really enjoy fine-tuning things and chasing a specific feel and aesthetic. But also, the learning involves scratches an itch. Sometimes I think I'm literal to a fault. If I hear someone say something like, square taper's better, I might get consumed with that. I'll think why, and why do other standards exist, and well, maybe I should try it for myself. A long time ago, I would just get bummed out and think I'm just too dumb for this stuff. But the older I get, the more I embrace that curiosity, and it's basically therapeutic at this point. So now I turn it to you. Do you see the value in going custom, or do you not think it's worth it? Let me know in the comments below. Breaking news, this bike rips. slow. Whoa. That's so fun. Whew. We always put a lot of thought into what our cafe stop's going to be on a ride, but today it was a mad dash for anywhere warm. Luckily, this spot was nearby. This is my second favorite bagel place in the city. Montreal-style bagels and Montreal smoked meat. They also do a nice pumpernickel bagel, which always reminds me of the holidays for some reason. Also, any chance to have a Diet Coke from a fountain, I'm in. Our bikes were not far. I wasn't losing sight of mine just yet, and I also realized I locked mine right under a dripping vent, which is not great for my new saddle, but I think the water froze instantly, so maybe it didn't do too much damage. It's a good reminder that I need a saddle cover. You guys do whatever you want. Wow, beautiful dogs.
Thank you.
Hello. Wow, that just made my day. A game I like to play is to pull up Google Maps or Google Earth, and then I look at all the green space in the city core. I don't usually look for ones with clearly marked paths, although that does actually help the end game here. The best ones might be like a hydro line, or in this case, a slice of land along a river. I then go and explore them. Sometimes I'll find a narrow footpath, sometimes more or less, and step 3 is to create new connections between neighborhoods if possible. Ottawa is pretty good for this. I've discovered my favorite little city cuts like this. I'm not sure if that's the name for them. They're like little espresso shots. See how many you can find. This one coming up is my absolute favorite. If I ride by here and no one is around, I tend to ride like a total buffoon for this little 30-second stretch. No one was around today. Hello, I'm probably wearing my new hat. My very first impressions of the Supertramp is that it's low and long, but the frame also runs big. I usually sit between a large and an XL, but with this frame, the large fits me really well, and I don't feel like I'm picking the smaller of two options. The frame can sometimes look small because there's extra head tube over the top tube. Like when I compared it to my Velo Orange Chessie, which is an XL, it looks smaller, but it is bigger, and the same goes for the Wilde Rambler. The large Supertramp is bigger than the XL Wilde Rambler. I like the extra head tube because I can get the bars nice and high, there's more standover, it inspires confident handling, there's no twitchiness or kind of guessing what the bike's gonna do. Some more impressions on the frame is that it's comfortable. I can feel the frame flex. It's not overly flexy, but you can feel it in the rear end.
What did he say?
The bike also has longer chain stays than most bikes that I've tried. Not overly long, but if I compare it to my Gorilla Monsoon, I would say it climbs a little bit slower, it's a little less punchy, but there's way more positives than negatives. Head tube angle is 69.5 degrees and the trail number is 84. For me and my preferences, these are the right numbers for a do-it-all style bike. You get just a bit of mountain bike feel to keep it playful, but it's not a slog to push around the city. On a similar note, another first impression is that this whole bike is lighter than I expected. This latest Supertramp has a smaller head tube than the previous versions, and I find the whole front end feels really great. It's nice and light. The fork feels really great, so I'm super happy with that. There's nothing like a bad feeling fork that kind of plants the bike. It's like a great band with a horrible drummer. Aesthetics are personal preference, of course. For me, I love the way this bike looks, and that's super important to me in a bike that I own. The atypical top tube design is something I wanted, and it's something that caught my eye when I first saw this bike. The paint is also excellent. It's worth noting that Wilde does a lot of custom work. This is a production run bike, but it doesn't feel far off to me. Let's talk components. The first thing I took note of is SRAM Eagle 90 T-type business, because I had an issue.
My cassette is absolutely destroyed. Check this out. I realized after the first ride that I think my cassette is defective. It's no fault of the mechanic. We looked at it and the 11th cog is way bigger than all the other cogs. So I'm thinking SRAM forgot to machine it because it can't even like sit, the chain can't sit on the teeth of the cassette because it's so big.
I still was able to get a bit of a feel for it. I think time will tell better, but one thing I took note of is the whole shifting under load. I think I like it. It might be weird when I hop on my other bikes, but it feels nice in the climbs, it feels nice on long straightaways. Something I stressed over a lot was dropper post travel. I went with 175 millimeters. I worried it was maybe too much, but at the same time, this is a bike that I'll ride a lot with no plans. It's not uncommon that I'll ride to a cafe and then unexpectedly veer off into a technical trail. So I think it's better to have it. It's a fun bike. The extra standover can handle it as well. The action is super smooth. It did get a little bit slow when it was minus 14 degrees Celsius, but other than that, it's not something to expect. It works really well. The wheel set feels great, and I'm happy that these rims can take such a big tire because I can go up to, I think, a 2.8 in the front and maybe a 2.6 in the rear, so I could go bigger if I want. The hubs aren't loud, which I know is not the only marker of a good hub, but I hate a loud hub. And the Ultradynamico Mars Race tires feel really good. Let's talk about one of my favorite components. Handlebars for your hands. I'm starting with Tumbleweed Persuader bars. They're 800 millimeters wide. They offer a 20 and a 30 degree back sweep. I did the 20 degree version. I thought they'd be a bit more playful, and they do feel playful. Especially when you're up and out of the saddle, they handle really nice. Time will tell how I like them on a casual city ride or maybe a long gravel ride, but I do have another option lined up. These are the Nito and Bassi Montreal Bobby bars. They offer 30 degrees of back sweep and they kind of go forward a little bit at the clamp. I think these would be really comfy as well. So I'll probably try these in the future, but I'm starting with Persuader bars. Some final first impressions, PNW Loam Gen 2 pedals, very grippy. The Berthoud saddle, super comfy. I'm pretty new to the whole leather hammock style saddle, so I think going with a cutout was a good starting point, but if you think otherwise, let me know. And lastly, the Simworks and Nissan Crisper cable housing. This is new. There was no good looking options for 12-speed drivetrains, so I'm really stoked that that came out when it did. I think that's it for my first impressions. Also, if you have any questions about the bike or how it rides, please let me know in the comments below.
Whoa, a lot of ice there.
I want to mention the other bikes I considered when buying this frame. There were 6 of them that I remember. I think these are all unique options. They all have their own strengths and they're all great alternatives to my bike. The Surly Grappler, this one's very close and fit, very affordable. The Sklar PBJ was one of the closest ones I came to getting. A lot of cool design choices with that bike. The Bassi Coyote is an awesome 650B option, great fit, more affordable as well. The Crust Evasion Trail 140 and the Stridzlin Beachcomber are really cool 26er options. And lastly, the Ritchie Ascent, which is just a tried and true classic. I'm sure there's more I'm missing, and I still want to try all these bikes. I also need to find a frame bag for this bike, and Wilde is one step ahead of me because they make one perfectly for this bike, so maybe that's next. And as for this bike ride, it's time to go home. Not a winter fan?
Why don't I live at the bagel store?
All right, some super dramatic music to end it off. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. If you want to support the channel, consider subscribing or leaving a comment. Both are free and they help us out tremendously. We have some merch at bikebreath.com. Find us on Instagram or just hang out here. Take care of yourself, and I will see you on the next one.